This is GNN News at 6. I'm joined here today by the legendary Carl Bernstein, whose extensive research has kept us out of the dark throughout the shady circumstances that the White House has seen over the past 2 years. Carl, thanks for being with us.
My pleasure, Ron.
To start off, why don't you get our viewers who might not have been staying with the latest of Watergate up to speed with a quick rundown of what exactly has been going on?
Well, Ron, President Nixon has gotten himself into quite the pickle that seems to be finally catching up with him right about now. Back in '72, a security guard at the Watergate Hotel discovered a break-in into the Democratic National Committee headquarters. This was followed by the arrest of 5 men for conspiracy, burglary, and violation of federal wiretapping laws, all connected in some way to the Nixon administration. Investigations eventually revealed this was only one of several illegal activities authorized and carried out by President Nixon.
And what specifically were these activities?
Campaign fraud, political espionage, sabotage, illegal break-ins, improper tax audits, illegal wiretapping, and laundered slush fund. The list goes on. With the help of anonymous sources, it was found that the scandal was rooted deep in the Justice Department, CIA, FBI, and the White House. After 2 years of investigation, Nixon was tired and very nearly impeached. He recently resigned before it could happen.
And how do these actions, corruption on such a great scale, affect us at home? Surely it must hinder our American values.
Oh, well, of course, Ron. If this had gotten even more out of hand, if this type of manipulation was to be handed off to the next generation of politicians, the health of our beloved democracy would be threatened. The president, the leader of our country, paying off.
And what specifically were these activities?
Campaign fraud, political espionage and sabotage, illegal break-ins, improper tax audits, illegal wiretapping, and laundered slush funds. The list goes on. With help from anonymous sources, it was found that the scandal was rooted deep in the Justice Department, CIA, FBI, and the White House. After 2 years of investigation, Nixon was tried and very nearly impeached. He recently resigned before it could happen.
And how do these actions, corruption on such a great scale, affect us at home? Surely it must hinder our American values.
Oh, of course, Ron. If this had gotten even more out of hand, if this type of manipulation was to be handed off to the next generation of politicians, the health of our beloved democracy would be threatened. The president, the leaders of our country, paying off criminals to do dirty work and killing off competition through fraud, the thought alone is unsettling. But it's actually happened. Nixon not only failed the people of the United States, he betrayed them.
Well, Carl, if I may, it is still uncertain as to how much President Nixon actually knew. As Senator Howard Baker once asked when the scandal first became apparent, what did the president know, and when did he know it?
Well, that's not entirely the case. 3 days ago, a certain smoking gun tape was released, not having been seen by anyone until that point. In it, Nixon pretty explicitly schemes with his associate, Haldeman, to cover up some loose ends of the scandal. It was really only a matter of time before Nixon's true actions were exposed, and it's no wonder he was forced to resign.
Thanks for your valuable insight, Mr. Bernstein.
No problemo. Great to be here.
You can read all about Carl Bernstein's coverage of the Watergate scandal in its entirety in his book, titled All the President's Men, in stores now. And with that, we're going to throw it back to our field reporter, Brian Fantana, who is sitting down with the former president himself for a quick live exclusive, answering all of your questions about his sudden resignation. Brian? Hello, everybody, and good evening. My name is Ron Burgundy, and I'm here today bringing you the complete coverage of what has quickly become the most shocking story of the decade. Our news team here at GNN has Carl Bernstein in the studio, the man who has been on top of the Watergate scandal since it all began. Then, our field reporter, Brian Fantana, is bringing you a GNN exclusive interview with the president himself, with the latest on his resignation. Thanks for joining us. This is a GNN News at 6.
Thanks, Ron. I'm here with President Nixon for a quick interview to hopefully answer some of America's growing concerns about the current political situation at the White House. We really appreciate you being with us today, Mr. President. We know you have a lot on your plate.
I appreciate the concern. Hopefully I, along with the rest of our political organization here in the United States, will be able to prune these growing concerns of the populace and bring us back to the issues at hand.
I know you're on a tight schedule, so I'll make this straight and to the point. What do you have to say to the American people about the outcome of this whole operation?
My motive was pure political containment, and political containment is not a corrupt motive. I made sure that the security of the nation was high on my list of national priorities.
That's all well and good, Mr. President, but in regards to the money paid to the burglars to keep them quiet, why didn't you stop it?
Because at the time, I had no knowledge of the fact that it was going to be paid. Well, you have to understand my position on the issue. Conferencing with these men proved to be both mentally and emotionally trying. Now, I can be faulted. I recognize it. Maybe I defended them too long. Maybe I tried to help them too much. But I was concerned about them. I was concerned about their families. I felt, and so did their hearts, that they were not guilty. I felt that they ought to have at least a chance of proving that they were not guilty. And I didn't want to be in the position of just sawing them off in that way.
So let's get right to what the American people are dying to hear from you, Mr. President. Can you say with conviction that you indeed participated in the cover-up of the burglary and the Watergate scandal? I just want the facts. We need to know what you did and did not do.
In my eyes, I did not commit an impeachable offense because my motives were purely in the best intentions of my cabinet members. With no malicious intent did I partake in the cover-up of any illegal activities.
The American people have seemed to get a different idea, especially with the release of this new smoking gun tape. I mean, you're pretty obviously covering up something there, Mr. President.
Yes, I cannot deny the evidence presented in that tape. Regardless, I do not believe I deserve to be impeached, but the House does. I am not sure how my indictment will resolve in the Senate. But one thing is for certain. The country cannot effectively run with a president and Senate tied up in a domestic affair such as this. For this reason, I have impeached myself through resignation.
I see. That clears up a lot. We've got to be wrapping up now, so one final question. How have you been able to deal with all the media attention in the past few days? You must be feeling all sorts of emotions right now, from regret to frustration and everything in between. What do you have to say to the American people about your resignation?
In all of my public life, I welcome this kind of examination from the media, because people have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. And I am not a crook. Nixon's back, baby!